Hello and welcome to Y254 News Highlights. My name is Abdulrazak Ingutia. Remember, you can always follow us on Twitter at Y254 channel, hashtag Y254 updates. You can also follow me on Twitter at official Razaki. Now tonight, the stories we have prepared for you are: Kenya will now access Chinese market after the two countries signed a memorandum of understanding to allow exports of nuts, avocados, legumes, flowers, vegetables, stevia, among other products to China. The memorandum of understanding is expected to expand the number of products headed to China. Miriam Masava has more on this story.
Following a successful conclusion of the inaugural China International Import Expo, Kenya is now looking to have a grip on 1.3 billion Chinese consumers with nuts, avocados, legumes, flowers, vegetable, stevia, among others. According to Principal Secretary Dr. Chris Kipto, this is expected to be aided by a memorandum of understanding on sanitary and phytosanitary measures signed, which is expected to expand the number of produce headed to China. The government is targeting to issue at least 500,000 avocado trees to farmers by March next year to meet the expected increased demand from buyers, especially for avocado fruits. However, guaranteed market access will mean Kenya improving the quality of the produce for export, as Kenya targets to expand the number of exports. Also on the sidelines of the first China International Import Expo, Kenya and China signed an MOU to establish a working group to address existing trade barriers between the two countries. Miriam Masava, Y254 Business News.
Kenya has signed a 5-year 4.5 billion euros equivalent to 520 billion shillings loans and grants. Kenya has signed a 5-year 4.5 billion euros equivalent to 520 billion shillings loans and grants deal with the European Union. This added to the country's debt load that now stands at 5.14 trillion shillings. The agreement was signed between the Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich and EU Ambassador to Kenya Stefano Di Jacque.
The amount contained in the European Union's 2018 to 2022 Joint Cooperation Strategy is an increase from the previous 5-year deal of 3 billion euros that will focus on President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda. According to the European Union, the agreement will harmonize investment over a long period of time. It will also align financial support with the priorities and objectives of the national government. The 19-member country bloc said it will use the money to support Kenya's lower middle income status in addressing inequalities and challenges, focusing on infrastructure, job creation, resilience building, and accountability. Rotich said the money will help the country in addressing the flooding menace as well as drought management through irrigation. The previous agreement that ran from 2013 to 2017 centered on medium-term 2 plan with attention on areas such as energy and transport. Lake Turkana wind power projects also benefited from this fund. President Kenyatta last week in Kitui reiterated that his government will not stop borrowing for as long as the debt is towards development agenda and is not wasted through corruption. Wandabo Wanyama for Y254 Business News.
Shares in two tobacco giants have been hit by reports that U.S. regulators are planning to ban menthol cigarettes. British American Tobacco closed 10.6% down to their lowest in almost 5 years, while Imperial Brands recovered from earlier big falls to end 2.2% off. For this and other stories, stay tuned for the International Roundup.
A report in the Wall Street Journal claimed the U.S. Food and Drugs Administration would impose the ban. Analysts said menthol cigarette sales account for a quarter of BAT's earnings and a tenth of Imperial Brands. The newspaper report suggested the U.S. authorities are planning ban just a few days after cracking down on flavored e-cigarettes. BAT owns one of the most popular menthol brands, Newport, after it splashed out $49 billion on rival R.J. Reynolds last year. Analysts at Barclays estimated U.S. sales of menthol cigarettes account for around 25% of BAT's annual underlying earnings and around 11% of Imperial Brands' earnings. Internet giant Alibaba has set new sales records on Sunday for its biggest shopping day, the annual Singles Day. The Chinese company hit a record $1 billion in sales in 85 seconds and then just shy of $10 billion in the first hour of the 24-hour spree. In total, customers spent $30.8 billion, up 27% on last year, but the lowest annual increase in the history of the singles day. Online discounts have been offered on 11th of November, Alibaba's informal holiday for singles since 2009. Alibaba Group Chief Executive Daniel Zhang said the spending bonanza demonstrated customers' continued pursuit to upgrade their everyday lifestyles. Alibaba invented the occasion to celebrate the unattached as an antithesis to the romantically involved on Valentine's Day. It is now the world's biggest online sales event, and this year's total was more than Black Friday and Cyber Monday's total combined, according to Bloomberg. Finally, flash sales publicizing Chinese smartphone company Xiaomi's UK launch have sparked a backlash on social media. Xiaomi advertised two of its new handsets for £1 each last week as a part of a crazy deals promotion. It has, however, emerged that the flash sale involved only 2 or 3 phones, and Xiaomi had set its website to say sold out as soon as the sales opened. The UK's ad watchdog said it had received a complaint and was now deciding whether to investigate. Xiaomi said it hoped customers would not be discouraged from taking part in future campaigns. Xiaomi's business model is based on selling its hardware at low profit margins, and it has regularly held flash sales in other markets as a relatively cheap way to attract attention and gauge demand. It typically offers thousands of devices at more realistic prices when doing so, but even when it held a similar €1 event in Spain last year, it provided 50 units. By contrast, the first 2 UK flash sales involved only 3 phones apiece, while 2 follow-ups were limited to 2 units. For Y254 News, I am Abdurazak Ingutia.
Apple's shares sank by 5% yesterday, dragging down US markets and wiping more than $4 billion off the tech giant's market value. The fall followed a profit warning from some of the firm's suppliers, which exacerbated concerns that demand for iPhones is slowing.
The declines made the company one of the biggest losers on the Dow, which closed down 2.3%. The wider S&P 500 ended about 2% lower, while Nasdaq fell more than 2.7%. Technology stocks led the Wall Street sell-off, which saw shares in most sectors tumble. Technology firms drive many of the stock's market gains earlier in the year, but now face rising calls for regulatory and tax changes that could hurt their growth. Amazon shares lost more than 4%, Alphabet dropped over 2.5%, while Facebook fell 2.3%. Apple's share price fall came after Lumentum, a US manufacturer of facial recognition technology and Apple supplier, said one of its customers had reduced its shipments. As a result, Lumentum downgraded its sales and profit outlook, sending its shares down over 30%. Finally, China has been pushed into third place on a list of the world's most powerful supercomputers. The latest list by Top 500, published twice a year, puts 2 US machines, Summit and Sierra, in the top 2 places. The US has 5 entries in the top 10, with other entries from Switzerland, Germany and Japan. However, overall, China has 227 machines in the top 500, while US has 109. Summit can process 200,000 trillion calculations per second. Both Summit and Sierra were built by the tech giant IBM. China's Sunway Taihu Lite supercomputer, which at this time last year was the world's most powerful machine, is now ranked number 3, while the country also has the 4th spot in the list. Sunway Taihu Lite has a processing power of 93 petaflops compared with Summit's 200. It was nudged out of second place by Sierra, which is in the Lawrence Livermore National Lab and has a processing power of 94 petaflops. Supercomputers are typically large, expensive systems featuring tens of thousands of processors designed to carry out special calculation-intensive tasks such as climate change studies, nuclear weapon simulation, and weather forecasting. For Y254 News, my name is Abdurazak Ingutia.
That is all we had for you for the Y254 Business Highlights. Be sure to catch up with us next week. But for now, make sure you remain tuned to Y254 channels for more programs. My name is Abdurazak Ingutia, and on behalf of everyone who's made this production a success, have a good night.
Y254. Imagine.